Hi, I'm Jenny from the Mississippi Valley Library District, and we're going to do another science video. Before I get started on what we're doing today, I want to show you what our plants look like that we worked on for our last video. If you remember, I planted some various seeds in an egg carton, and I planted tomatoes, zucchini and summer squash and spaghetti squash seeds. Now, my zucchini and summer squash seeds didn't do anything, and I think I know why. I think the squash were so small that the seeds were not mature enough to grow. But I did get here a little, I don't know if you can see it, a little tomato plants starting to grow, and I put those in the eggshells because we talked about how tomatoes need a lot of calcium in their soil. And then my spaghetti squash, I had 2 out of 4 of them, this big thing. In fact, this one needs to be transplanted right away. If you can see, the leaf on the end of the stem looks a little brown, so the roots aren't able to go down deep enough. And then on the other side of that, I have a very small sprout. I don't know if you can see it or not. It's right there. So out of 12 sections, 3 of them started producing fruit. And remember, I told you that every seed probably will not sprout. And so that's why you want to plant more than what you think you need. The other things I want to show you, we had seeds growing in a bag, and I showed you this one. Actually, this one I started on June 18th, and it was at its peak a few days ago, and it's going to have to, this guy is either going to have to be planted or it's not going to be any good anymore. The seeds themselves are just disintegrating, which is what they would do in the soil, and which is why we wanted to do this, so we could see what happens when we plant a seed that we can't see happening under the soil. And then that day, because I had started this a few days before we did our last experiment, and I had soaked some seeds and did this to show you, to demonstrate how it was done. And these guys are really sprouting nicely. They're probably at their peak right now. So if I wanted to transplant them, I could do that. I also had planted some in the jar, and they went crazy. In fact, one of them, my husband already planted in some soil outside. But you can see how much greenery there is. So that was kind of exciting to see. This jar and the 2 bags, those were all just dried pinto beans that I soaked and planted in these soilless containers. You have to be careful with one thing when you're planting something that you started inside to outside. You have to kind of temper the plant so it doesn't die, because the temperatures and everything can be so extreme. Like right now it's pretty hot outside. So when my husband transplanted my spaghetti squash, he put it in some soil in a pot that we have in a shaded area on our porch. So even though it's pretty warm, it's not going to get direct sunlight beating down on it. Well, today we're going to talk about water and water cycles. And when you look at, I don't know if you can see this, but there's little tiny drops of water. And there used to be more, but it got so heavy up here, it came down, and now all of a sudden there's a little pool of water down at the bottom of that bag. And I show you that because water, the water we have on this earth, is continually cycled. And we are always using the same water. The water that we drink and cook with um, is always going through a cleansing process. And so I drew on a bag, a little sandwich bag, a diagram. And if you want to do this, all you need is a sandwich bag, a resealable sandwich bag, and a marker, and some water that I'll add later. And this is basically the water cycle. We start on the bottom with a body of water. Now, the largest bodies of water on our earth are the oceans, and oceans are salt water. And then, well, let me show you the comparison. I have some blue water, and that's all this is water colored with blue. I have a 2-cup measuring cup and a 1-cup measuring cup and a tablespoon measure. I said that most of the water on our earth comes from the oceans. So if this 2-cup measuring cup symbolizes the amount of water we have in our oceans, it's this much. And then the fresh water, do you know what the freshwater bodies are? Lakes and rivers, ponds, streams. And then we have some frozen fresh water. Actually, most of the fresh water on our earth are from glaciers. And glaciers are frozen water. And that's a whole nother lesson in itself, that water can be liquid, it can be in a vapor, and it can be frozen and be a solid. But I'm going to show you, we said that this symbolized the amount of water that comes in our oceans or our saltwater beings. I'm going to pour out 2 tablespoons and put them in the 1-cup measuring cup. This symbolizes how much fresh water we have on the earth. Now we know we use fresh water for drinking and bathing and cooking, for watering our plants and our grass. This symbolizes the amount of ocean water. It's a big difference, isn't it? So, and I think it's like 3/4 of the freshwater supply is in glacial form. So some of the water goes down under the earth, and we use wells to get the water from underneath the earth. But so for the water cycle, we have our little bag, and when the sun shines down on the oceans, the rivers, the lakes, the streams, even the puddles, the water puddles after a rain, then, and it collects down at the bottom of the earth. And do you know that the bodies of water are just like the earth? They don't have one level. They have hills and valleys just like our land does. So some of the bodies of water are deeper than others. So water, the sun shines down on water that is collected down on earth. And then as it heats up, it starts to rise. It becomes water vapor and goes up to the sky. So the evaporation's over here with arrows pointing up. And it collects in a cloud. And you can see, I don't know, maybe you can, the little black dots I have, that's um, water condensation. The warm water comes up, it's cooler up in the clouds, and it starts forming water droplets again. That's called condensation. And it's held in the clouds, and as the clouds get heavy, the rain starts coming down. So it's a continuous cycle. The water comes down, it collects on the earth, it evaporates up, forms clouds and condensation, and then it comes back down as rain. Now, what I'm going to do with my bag is I'm going to pour a little bit of blue water in it, and then I'm going to close up my bag. Do you have any idea what might happen when I close it and tape it into the window? I'm going to put it in the same window that I had my bean plants in. So remember I showed you the water droplets that were in the bag? You can't really see it too much. Well, the sun is going to shine through the window and heat up the water, and then the water is going to start evaporating and going up to the top of the bag, and then it will condense with temperature changes and the more water that's up there, and it's going to get heavier, and then it's going to excuse me, start coming back down. So if you want to observe the water cycle on a small scale, I invite you to go ahead and get a plastic bag, a resealable one, and label it. You can pause the video to see how I labeled mine. I have evaporation, condensation, condensation under the cloud, and then precipitation coming down next to the cloud. Down at the bottom, it's just where the water collects, and then I labeled it water cycle. So I'm going to tape this in the window, and I'm going to watch the water cycle form. So I hope you enjoyed this little demonstration, and I'll see you again with another science video in about a week. Bye-bye. Have a good evening.